Pretty cool.
Okay, tēnā koutou katoa. Nice to have you here this afternoon on what is an auspicious occasion, our last meeting for Taupo District Council for this triennium. And I'd like to welcome members of the public, staff, councillors here this afternoon. Could I ask Councillor Truman to give us a briefing for the afternoon? Just making sure we're on broadcast, are we, guys? And just reminding councillors for the microphones to be on, please. Thank you, Councillor Truman.
I te atua ka harawa ki a tata mai koe ki a mātou I tēnei rā, mana ki te a mātou mahi katoa, I rungo I te ingoa, o te matua, o te tama, o te wairua tapu, ake, amene.
Thank you, Councillor Truman. I call for apologies. Look like there's a full house. Okay, agenda item. Any conflicts of interest here this afternoon?
Through the Chair, for your worship, just on item number 7.
Item number 7 for Councillor Jollins. Okay, here we go. No other conflicts of interest. So, Councillor Krastowski.
Yes, your worship, it pains me greatly having to make the following strong and personal stand, which are based on my life's values and principles, as well as that of an elected member and community leader. Putting aside for the moment the obvious requirements to work within a legal framework and numerous applicable legislations to us, I believe that recently a deliberate number of breaches of Council's unchallenged and universally adopted Code of Conduct and Council's oath of office have occurred. Not to take a stance here today is not an option for me. In my mind, it would amount to implicit endorsement of violations of our Code of Conduct, especially in matters of confidentiality. But worse, it would incite further unacceptable behaviour, as already signalled and campaigned for by a current councillor on the 19th of this month at the night of Meet the Candidates. This to me equates to a total disregard and utter contempt of one's fellow councillors and the office we hold. It would also render the mutually accepted Code of Conduct, which includes confidentiality, absolutely meaningless as well as superfluous to future requirements, and place this council in an insidious position. I have always been a strong advocate of democracy and freedom of speech. However, both come with great personal and social responsibilities, especially as an elected representative and community leader. Openness, transparency and trust is not a one-way system that can be selected at one's whim in order to gain personal or political advantage at the expense of individual and collective democratic rights or democracy at large. Recent events and subsequent statements by one or more elected members have, in my view, seriously challenged the fundamental pillars of our democracy that brought us here in the first place. Moreover, it willfully undermined the collective agreement that we as elected representatives have all agreed to at the beginning of this triennium. I do not expect to see consensus on every debate, but I do have the right to be treated with mutual respect, dignity and trust as a result of the decisions made by the majority and the collective. This includes, and you guessed it, but is not limited to confidential items. Sadly, it is my opinion this council's integrity has been called into question by one or more elected members. As a result, I no longer share the required confidence and trust within the elected circle, and I feel compelled to vacate my chair for the remainder of this meeting as a mark of protest and sheer disappointment. Additionally, their actions and unsubstantiated insinuations have also unwittingly and by default unfairly implicated some hard-working, innocent council officers. Had all of this occurred at any other time of the triennium, the potential unintended consequences could have seen this council replaced by a commissioner. Unfortunately, one of the undesirable outcomes of recent events is that it does precious little to enhance the image and integrity of elected members to the people, especially to the young, nor does it promote the fragile confidence within our community that we as a council are working so hard to improve. Just ask yourself, Why should the public obey the rules when their leaders do not? Your Worship, the sentiments expressed here today by me represent my line in the sand. Lastly, it is my fervent hope that regardless of who sits around this table in the new triennium, that they will serve in the best interest of our community and help shape our vast potential into a positive reality for the benefit of all. Thank you, Your Worship.
Well said, Bernard.
Any other conflicts of interest? Okay. All right, we'll go to item number 1, confirmation of council minutes, ordinary council meeting on the 30th of August. Do we have any queries or questions of those minutes? Those matters arising from those? Do I have a mover, please, for those minutes? I'll move. Moved by Councillor Boddy, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Item number 2, fencing, loading reserves and dog committee meeting. We'll go through these and then we'll probably move them on block.
Mr. Chairman, I have an issue in regards of item 5 on the minutes of the last Fred Committee meeting. I'll hand yourself and Mr. Green a memo that I wish to now read out.
Item 5?
It's item 5, 2/4.
Yep.
This is in regards to the subject of an incorrect process and resolution. I'll give you the explanation as it's before all my fellow councillors. As the acting chairman for item 5 of the 22nd of August 2016's Fred Committee meeting, I wish to table this memo for the future Taupo District Council's consideration. Having carefully reread the original written request that led to this item, it is clear to me, in hindsight, that item 5's resolution is incorrect. The original written request was for a small information sign or plaque, not a commemorative memorial plaque. Therefore, the request should not have been judged against the Council's commemorative memorial policy. Secondly, the resolution which states that the request was for Council to install a commemorative plaque is factually incorrect. Therefore, as the chairman for this item in hindsight, I would recommend that the incoming 2016-19 Council reconsider this matter.
Thank you, Councillor Boddy. Any other?
Chair, I support that. I understand where staff are coming from with regards to the memorial technicalities, but I think it was more, as John said, it was more acknowledgement, I thought. That's what they were after. I'm not sure how my other Fred Committee members feel about that.
So, yeah. The councillor is happy to have an appetite to
Just give an explanation why I've used the word council. We don't know whether there's going to be a Fred Committee with the new council. We don't even know who's going to be in the new council. Hence, I've used the word council.
Okay, so Chief Executive, what do we do?
So I think you've got the memo there now. Obviously, you can't change this resolution today, so and we don't know when or if there's going to be a new Fred Committee, but I think because we got this memo one way or the other, at council or at a future Fred, then you can the next elected members can consider it at that time.
That's correct. So therefore, it'll be part of the minutes of this meeting that it's been. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Any other? So if we go through them, so that's that one. Then the Touring Reserves Management Plan Committee held on the 29th of August.
That's fine.
That's fine. Thank you. Emergency Management Committee meeting held on the 12th of September.
Yes, just through the chair, we've actually received the resignation of Seamus Howard as a controller to the Taupo district after 15 years of voluntary service. We thanked him at that point, but I would like a letter of thanks to go to Seamus, perhaps signed by yourself, Your Worship, but also I'd be quite keen for us to nominate him for a ministerial award that the Ministry of Civil Defence and Emergency Management give out each February. I think 15 years of voluntary service is warranty enough for that.
Yep, good idea. Mr. Fox, the process for nominating the ministerial award?
We're in discussions with the Ministry on the potential for that, and certainly he would qualify for that. I think the awards have already happened for this year, obviously, but we would certainly, if the meeting was of our mind for that to happen, nominate next year.
Councillors happy for that to happen?
Chairman, just to make one comment on that, it's nothing to do with what's in the minutes. I happened to be out in that area where the snow was a couple of weeks ago. I was very impressed with the comments made by those I spoke to over in regards of our team from this council, in particular Ian. So I think that needs to be acknowledged again. They did a very, very good job, and the people out there were very happy. One thing that came through to me was this lack of cell phone coverage in that area.
Yes, it's being addressed.
That has to be a priority, particularly not so much for snow events, but accidents as well. So maybe that's something council can look at.
We'll minute that, Councillor Boddy, and
We've written to, through Mr Chairman, we've written to the relevant ministers on that point as a result of the snow event.
And just through the chair, also it was backed up by a letter from the Emergency Management Committee in support of cell phone tower.
Okay, thank you very much. Turangi Tongadito Community Board meeting on the 13th of September.
Yeah, they're fine.
That's fine. Audit and Risk Committee meeting on the 19th. Mangakino Paakani Representative Group meeting on the 20th.
Yep, just a couple of minor changes. Just on 2 bar 21.
21.
Under number 3, the Freedom Camping, towards the end, it says members agreed there should be a public meeting in Mangakino, and the word consultation should be in there. So that was about a consultation meeting to get feedback from the community. And also 2 bar 22, under members' reports, Mr Seymour, it's thanked staff for the roof repairs, not the rude.
Thank you, Councillor Truman. Taupo Airport Authority Committee meeting on the 21st of September. All good? All good. Okay, Turangi Reserves Management Plan Committee meeting on the 21st of September.
Yes, and that was fine
All
too.
good. Thank you, Maggie. Okay, so no matters arising from those minutes apart from what's been noted. I have a mover on block for those minutes, please. Thank you, Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Harvey. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Item number 3, lease extension and carving request for Taupo Bungee. Right, who's in? Nathan, Mr Nathan Mori. Good afternoon, Nathan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. I think we're here to discuss the Taupo Bungee. They have asked for a 7-year lease extension and also some minor variations to the lease document as well as for the carvings. We'll take the first one, the 7-year lease extension. That will take them out to 33 years, which is the maximum under the Reserves Act, and they have been granted extensions before, so hopefully you're familiar enough with who they are and what they do to understand if you want to provide that for them. The variations to the lease were just some minor things to clarify the use of the lessee's facilities, providing public toilets in particular. I don't think that that's probably their role to provide public toilets for the council, so we'd like to take that out of the lease, and also just to take out an ambiguous clause about providing 40% of the lease rental for that park. The clause isn't really something that we've been able to enforce or do much with, and there's a little bit of ambiguity in the writing, so council would like to take that out. There's been a lot of back and forth discussion between council and representatives of the bungee. It's not all included in the lease report. That would be a lot of attachments, but yeah, when I came on board and reviewed all the files, that was all clear what was intended there. And probably one of the most interesting things is the carvings. We were approached by the Taupo Bungee, and I think we've got the representatives here today.
Good afternoon, guys and girls. Nice
so
to see you all. Sorry, I see you all.
So if you have any further questions, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any specifics on that.
Yeah, sure. So we've got David Brown, we've got Darren McClutchy, and sorry, the ladies. Renee Kiwi, yes. Nice to see you. Okay, cool. So carvings, yep.
Yes, so the carvings, they came to us with a proposal. The walkway which leads from the collection point up to the main buildings for the bungee, down by the river, which is also used as a public walkway for people to get all the way down to Hoka Falls. that is a little bit prone to tagging and vandalism, and they thought if they commissioned some carvings there, it would reduce that as well as provide a really nice piece of public art for Taupo. So they have asked Matahi Brightwell, who I think everybody is aware has done the Mine Bay carvings, if he would like to be the artist involved in that, and our understanding is that he's agreed and going through the concept plans there. From council's point of view, or officer's point of view, we think it's probably a reasonable thing to do, and it's a nice thing for the community to have if we can get it done in the right way and everybody has an understanding. So you'll see in the resolution that we think it's probably appropriate, if we do approve it, to make it subject to an MOU which council approves, which would just cover all the fine details and hopefully prevent any misunderstandings in the future. So I think in the attachments there's some explanation of what the carvings are about, but I'm sure Sonia and the Bungie representatives can explain a bit more on that if you'd like a little bit more.
Okay, thanks. Perhaps is any initial queries on the lease scenario? Councillor Johns?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of quick questions for me. One was just a point of clarity. The resolution's got 2035, but Cargill Stent's letter for the 33-year extension goes to 37. So which is the correct
It's
date?
2035. There was
It
a
is
slight
2035.
I don't want to accuse the lawyers of making a mistake, but we went through all of when all the leases were signed. 2035 takes them up to 33 years, and we cannot go beyond that. So
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we were working from the right date. And just the second one was about this 40% of rental going towards the reserve. I'd like to know what TTH's views are on that, because I couldn't quite get a clear steer from the documents here, because this is a council request to take that clause out, but I was interested to know what the views were.
I'm sure they can answer if you would prefer them to answer, or if you'd like me to.
Whichever.
My understanding, a lot of this was decided before I started working for council, so I can only go through the email trail that I found. I think just as long as it felt that so long as there was an understanding that the intent of that was that council would use money to improve the reserve as and when it came about, because I believe when they took over the space it was probably not in as good a shape as it is now. But it's just not really possible for us to do that much forward planning into always.
Has that been taking place? No? Have we done maintenance of that
No.
over the years? Or?
Well, we've done maintenance, absolutely. What's happened over the years is that Taupo Bungie have come in and suggested different projects in their mind, which covers the 40%. So some councils remember viewing platforms and other proposals that have been put forward. From an officer perspective, our response has always been, look, we spend a whole lot more actually than the 40% per year maintaining that reserve through mowing lawns and whatnot. So that's where the ambiguity comes from. And so I guess as a result of that discussion and the negotiations which have happened, that's where the agreement, in principle subject to your agreement, to remove that requirement, but in the same way remove the requirement for the Bungie to provide the public toilets, which was the quid pro quo. Then that provides a neutral position, but one that hasn't got a whole lot of interpretation issues around it.
I think we subsidise the car parking facilities and the entrance area with that 40% worship in the early days.
Okay, so it's a lot cleaner if we take it out. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
And I would like to, because that's a council request, I would like to see that clause 28 in the resolution. So that it's inclusive of the resolution.
Okay.
Because that's the only council request. This will be the only opportunity we have to adjust the lease or any requirements of the lease. And as the lease goes for 33 years, it's the only opportunity we've got, Your Worship.
I also raised the question over clause 24. If you go to 3(1), it actually talks about the clause where it states this clause obliges council to spend up to 40%. If you go to 3(10) and actually look at the reinvestment by the lessor, it actually says we're mutually agreed. Now, I've taken this up with our legal beagle who may wish to make comment. It just seemed to be an incorrect statement that the agenda item says obliges versus mutually agreed. To me, they're two different things.
Well, it's been removed.
Comment on that,
I understand the background to it, that it's simply that clause is drafted in the lease credits and ambiguity. Clearly that clause says we mutually agree, but I think there's some uncertainty around when there was mutual agreement and when there wasn't. That's the suggestion that
Thank you. Could I therefore also, Mr Chairman, support Councillor Hickling in regards of adding that clause 28? I've also had a 3 in the resolution to do with clause 24 and to amend clause 23. They're not in the resolution. So whether they need to be.
Yielding it. Do you need to put that in?
We don't need to, but if the councillors feel more comfortable with it, then we can.
Yeah, I would like to move that those clauses are included in the resolution.
23 and 20, what was the other one?
23.
28.
It's clause 24, 23 and 28.
Right.
23 is to amend. I'll second that.
Okay. All right, so back to...
Just before we move on, just a query. I probably think that it's to do with the management plan. But the Taupo Benji extended the car park into, as you can see, on 3 by 11, you'll see the green line around the leased area. But we did extend that car park to an extension of the car park, but it's not within the lease agreement. But is that to do with the management plan of Sparthurban Park and Riverbank?
We'd have to look into that, councillor.
Because this is the original lease area that was set up.
The green.
And we have extended. I just wondered whether this is the appropriate time to extend the lease area.
Can we have a look into that and come back to you?
Yeah, okay.
Can we have a look into that
But
this afternoon?
if it means we've got to review the management plan, then leave it as it is possibly.
My understanding for the management plan is that that area is designated for the adventure activities. So whether you think that the car park is actually specifically for the bungee and should be part of their lease, or whether it provides some wider public benefit.
So the request for the lease extension is pertaining to the green.
Yes, yeah. But you can see the extension of the car park.
Yeah.
Just a point.
Yeah.
While we're tidying things up, that's all.
All right, so on to the carvings. There's no more question on the
Sorry,
list.
just through the chair, just to clarify, did TTH want to make any comments about the clause 23A being removed? Has it got any unintended consequences for you?
Well, I guess what we saw with that is we were looking for an offset. Obviously, we're giving up something on the lease there. And what we're looking to do is what we're hoping the council will do is see the need to improve the toilets up there and provide a public facility or some facility, or else we'll have to provide it and charge for the use of those toilets.
Okay.
We're close to getting a cost of having running because of running.
So that will be a request that will come in at some stage, or?
Yeah, it sounds like, sorry, I was going to say, it sounds like a long-term plan sort of
Yeah.
discussion, that one. We might have to talk separately about that, I think.
So
Yeah, I just wanted to understand.
We were going to, and I think both in Stan's letter suggest we leave any amendment to that 40% off at this point, because it needs to be a subsequent conversation, because there's some other developments proposing for next year which we need to go through your plan. So there's a big process to go on here. The main thing we wanted to do today was get permission to proceed with these carvings and
The lease extension.
About that, and also get that extension for lease, so we've got tenure of site so that we can actually get around on to plan and
Okay. All right, thanks, David. So
It's good to
perhaps that's
clarify.
for further discussion regarding the toilets at some stage. Yeah. So the main point of today is extending the lease and the carvings. Yeah. Okay. All right, carvings. Do the girls want to explain? Are they going to be another iconic tourist attraction like the modern day carvings?
having these carvings done by Matahi Brightwell. Obviously, we'd all like it to be a community asset, and he's agreed that that's how we view them. So not only will they be something for our local community to be proud of, but they're also insightful visitors to the area, adding to the core of activities and attractions here in Taupo. Obviously, it would be great to see it become part of Matahi Māori Art Trail in the surrounding areas. So we've already got the Mine Bay artwork, which is coming up to 40 years, but he's also done carving for the eyesight, and he's looking at doing carvings in Takano Hotel and Museum as well, potentially. So this would just form part of that sort of Māori art trail as well. Ultimately giving people another reason to come here. And obviously, as Nathan also said, the current state of one of the rock faces that we're looking at, I don't know if you can see, but you can see that blue stuff is all graffiti. So, it'll basically just beautify the area and the walkway, which is satisfying as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, guys, on the carvings? Pretty exciting stuff. I'm sure it'll be great. So there's a recommended resolution. Nothing to add, Nathan. You got nothing more? Is that
No, I think that's
covered it. Suggested recommended resolution. It's been amended to include clause 20 something and 2328. Yeah, those clauses. So 1, 2, and then a new 3.
Yeah.
Happy with that, Councillor Quickly?
Yes.
Yep. So would someone like to move that resolution?
On this suggested resolution.
Seconded by Councillor
With the
Bond.
amendment.
More discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 4. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Lakefront Reserve Licence Concessions. Nathan, you're still here?
Still here.
Right. So there's 3 of them, isn't there?
Yeah, so hopefully this is something you guys have considered over the years before, so you're pretty more familiar with it than I probably am. So we've had a few different applications, 2 for, one actually for an extension of an existing activity, which is the stand-up paddleboarding and kayak. And he would like a variation so that that's recorded under the company that he's setting up and not his individual name. He still trades, it'll still be the same name that he trades under, which is Walk on Water, but he's just setting up a company to cover that. So he would just like a 5-year extension there. We also had a request for somebody who is a distributor for e-bikes to rent out e-bikes on the lakefront. My understanding from looking at it is that we had a very similar operation there last year. We tried to contact them to see if they were interested in doing it again and had no response. And I understand that there was also a resolution to allow that same activity to occur before that, but that never went ahead. So it seems like that is probably a compatible use for that space, especially with the amendment to the management plan, which came about a few years ago. And the last one is for Lula's Empanadas, who would like to share the location where the Steaming Bean coffee cart is. And when the coffee cart moves off site, they move on with a food truck arrangement. We don't think that really fits in as well with the management plan or the use of that area, but we've described that for you guys to make a decision on whether you want to approve that. So we'd like you to make a decision on those 3, please.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Councillor Williamson.
Your Worship, thank you, Nathan. I just want to speak in support of that Lulu's Empanadas. They're a local family, being they're down the market, most weekends, and they're running a really good operation. I don't really see it as necessarily anti-competitive, just adding a bit more flavour as such down on the lakefront. So I would just personally like to speak in support of their application.
I'd certainly support that, Councillor Williamson. I just as to how that's managed. So the coffee cart goes away at say 5 o'clock, and they come in.
The way they described it to us
Is there an arrangement between the 2, or?
I think they've approached them informally, and it seems like something that they both agree to in a way. There's some details to be hashed out, but there's no point going too far unless they can get the agreement of council. But yes, the steaming bean coffee cart would move off-site, and then the empanadas would move on-site for a few hours. No, it'd still be the same, take up the same space, it would just be a slightly different activity.
Councillor Quinn?
Yeah, I'd support that, Your Worship, because we've done a similar sort of thing with the ice cream vendor, and we allowed Mr. Whippy to go when they was not operating. So similar scenario really, providing the coffee people are comfortable with them using the site after they've left. I think it.
Yeah, we need to put that in a written, just think.
Well, I think it would be,
needs to be
yes.
subject to an agreement.
Yeah.
Confirmed by us.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Johns?
Through the chair, a lot of agreeing today. I agree as well and would like to support it. I noticed when you drive down that road though, you know how you've got 2 car parking bays where the steaming bean is, and then the next one up heading towards Whariwaka. It's actually got yellow lines for blocked out lines as well. Could they not take one of the bays each?
That's the gelato.
Is that the gelato?
Yeah. So Mr. Whippy goes in there when they.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking at the roading manager behind me, it probably is a better idea than I
It's
did.
an ideal location, just adds a bit of flavour at night after 5 o'clock, where you've got something that you can't purchase anywhere else, like, being the actual item of food, as long as we restrict it to that particular. What's it called?
Lulu's.
Have you tasted one? Yeah. Very nice. Espanadas, what are they called?
Empanadas.
Sandwich. Yeah. So, it just adds a bit of flavour, and the caravan's quite a trendy little caravan too, so as you can see in the market. So, and we're pro-business, aren't we, Rosie?
We are indeed. I think it's a great idea.
What term would you be looking at? Because it's not mentioned here.
Pardon?
What were they looking for?
Summer.
My suggestion is we perhaps just trial this summer and just see how it works.
Okay.
The amendment to the management plan allowed for licences for up to 6 months, so you could offer a 6-month term over the summer and see how it went.
Let's see how it goes.
And
Good idea.
on the basis that they clean up after them and take the rubbish away.
Plenty of pastry.
So I think, so 1 and 2, we're happy with those. The walk on water, that sounds good. Number 2, yes. Councillor Parker?
Can I just ask, a 5-year extension seems to be quite a lengthy amount of time. Is it normal practice?
So on the lakefront, under the management plan, there are, I can't remember, 7 or 8 specified areas, and that's in one of those areas, and that is an activity which is specified as allowed for up to the 5 years. So this is going to be his last season, and he would just like assurance of tenure so he can invest in it. And the lease can be up to 5 years for each of those 7 locations in the specified activities.
And
So
this runs on from the end of, oh yeah, got it here, sorry, you're right. It's fine, thanks.
So number 2 is by Rebecca, that's the e-bikes.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone's happy with that?
Yes.
Well, we had the bikes last year, they were 60. I was surprised that they're not, it's not coming back this year. So
Yeah, there was no response from last year's person.
And number 3, we'll change that round to approve a 6-month, the councillors happy with a 6-month trial period on that, subject to an arrangement with Steaming Bean. Some words around that.
While it might be for so many months, do we have to put a start and finish date, 1st of November to the 31st of April or something like that, so they know? Does that have to be in the resolution?
That can be part of the lease itself.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Nathan. Could I have a mover for those 1, 2 and 3, please? Moved by Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Harvey. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Item number 5. Tender contract, Beau Drumdale. Mike, good afternoon, Mike Cordell. How are you, Mike? Good. Good luck.
Yes, it's hopefully a pretty straightforward one, so I'll take the item as read and invite your questions.
Okay, that's nice and quick. Any questions of Mike on this?
What are we actually doing here? Sorry.
Should I just give a little bit of context here? So we have an issue with water in Kinloch at peak times. We've got an issue obviously with council going into recess for a little while. We need to get on with the work. So that's the issue we're facing, is a summer of peak demand and issues with water usage.
Yes, last summer we got a couple of low pressure complaints from a couple of the higher areas in Kinloch, and we were able to resolve that by changing some valving around, but this year there's been quite a bit of building going on in Kinloch, so we want to get this water main in before the summer.
So it's giving me the permission to sign off on the tender when it comes in, as long as it's within that delegation, because you're not sitting in the chamber.
All right, thank you, Mike.
I'm happy to move that.
Councillor Park moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you, Mike. Item number 6, contract for Broadlands landfill cell 2D construction. Good afternoon, Mr. Brent Aiken.
Your Worship, councillors, I'm lucky enough to come and talk rubbish, hopefully not literally. I'll take the item as read and answer any questions for you.
Very good. So it's another cell we're putting in. Councillor Park, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just noticed in reading this that there were 4 potential tenderers, but only 1 actual tender was received. Was there any feedback from the others as to why they didn't follow through the process?
I just think that the market is so saturated with work out there. The 3 of the tenders that didn't tender were fully booked, and I think they came and had a little look and just said, well, we just can't fit it in our current work program, which is unfortunate.
It's a problem that we're talking about nationally at the moment, just both construction contractors and design contractors, you just can't find them. It's not just councils, the private sector is exactly the same. You just cannot find a contractor at the moment.
Great, thanks.
Councillor Cousins.
Through the Chair, thank you for that. Just 6/1, under engineer's estimate, we asked this again and again and again. It says the estimate is 1,004,000. Once again, including GST or excluding GST?
That is excluding GST.
Excluding. Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Right, any other questions of Brent? No? Councillor Hickling.
Just as some information,
yes.
How long did the last cell take to fill?
It's about 5 years for the last cell.
Okay.
Yep. And it really depends on the site constraints. We want to be able to move around. We've built a fog pond. We want to be able to move around the green waste operation, which we want to keep on the site. So
is the present one coming to get filled, or are you just making the opportunity to
we want to
change the tip around a bit?
We want to build the landfill at the least amount of time left.
Yep.
Due to the fact that we don't want to spend the money on liner and have it sitting there waiting for us.
Yeah.
So we've got probably about 5 months of fill volume to go before we need the next cell.
Okay.
So it's last minute stuff, but it's it's from a capital perspective, it's the best way to go.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Which is interesting in the long-term plan, it's 1,026,000 without the GST. So with the GST, this is only slightly more than what we had in the long-term plan.
So the 1,026,000 was inclusive of the design. So the design's been completed last year, so that we could have the plant, the design plans to go out to tender. And so I think we're still under the 1 million budget, which is actually the capital budget for the build.
Thank you.
Very good, Brent. Thank you. And just while we're at it too, the dump, I happened to experience a dump operations the other day. What fantastic staff there are. It's very helpful. I don't know if you hear it, but
Dump anymore.
not a dump. What's it called? Transfer station.
You mean a resource recovery?
No, just, if you pass on, I know they're independent contractors, but they do a wonderful job. Shane, is it Shane?
We've got a number of staff out there. They seem to be able to meet most of the people that live in the district over a period of time, so they do a good job for us. Thank you.
All right, recommended resolution there. Thank you, Councillor Jollins, seconded by Councillor Cousins. Thank you. We accept that tender. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Right, item number 7, electricity supply contract. Neil Ward. Good afternoon, Neil.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Councillors. Yeah, pretty simple item. Every 3 years we go out for tender for our electricity supply. This year we've gone through an all-of-government process, so basically it aggregates supply from the councils in the Waikato and runs a formal tender process through MB. So this is basically what it's come back with, which has resulted in savings on our existing contract as well by about 5%. So really simple item, just any questions?
Right. Any questions? Queries?
Jim, just for my education, time of use sites and non-time of use sites, what's the difference?
Time of use site, the meter is read every half hour and it's charged accordingly. So that's mainly our time of use sites are our big consumption sites.
Such as the water treatment plant? Or?
That is correct, yeah. And non-time of use is like this building, just your smaller consumption sites.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All pretty straightforward. Did these particular tenderers offer any other services to our district apart from just the price, the good price? Like sponsoring anything or anything like that?
I'm sure councillors will be aware of some very generous sponsorship that Contact Energy supplies in terms of the swim school.
Yes, swim school, yeah, good.
And Trustpower, I'm not
Okay,
sure,
so
I'm sure they support the district as well.
Yeah.
Community
awards. Community awards, yeah, good. All right, thank you. Recommended resolution there. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Cousins, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Item number 9. 8. Oh, sorry. Jumping ahead. 8.
Missed one of myself.
Sorry. Deanna Wright. How could I forget you, Gemma? Technical Heights Stage 3B and 3C. Tendering contract consideration. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, as we've had previous discussions in regards to this particular contract, we've called for the tenders and received tenders, as you can see, from 5 potential construction providers, and the lowest price conforming tender from Inframex conformed, basically, the lowest price conformed. And I just wanted to clarify that it's actually Inframex Construction Limited rather than Inframex. So if we can make that amendment to the proposed resolution, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay.
Take the item as read.
Thank you, Gemma.
Any
I
questions?
suppose the obvious question is how are we going with sales on these ones?
We currently have sales of just over half the available sections are either fully signed up or are contracts with solicitors currently.
Conditional.
Conditional.
Yes. Conditional.
Yeah.
So none of the contracts are able to be entered into until there's an approval to actually build them. So it's all dependent on this. So there's some conditional contracts.
So we made the conditions that and title being issued, because obviously we can't agree to sell it yet until it physically exists. So, but those are the only 2 conditions.
So, Mr. Chairman, is it half of how many?
20.
20.
Okay. All right. Any questions or queries? Councillor Jollins.
Just to clarify, this is the last of the development up.
7 more sections potentially at the end, which I think the way things are going, that may be something we need to come and talk to you about in the future. But this was what council agreed to, was to do stages 3, B and C. There's still a stage 3D, which was just 7 final sections. So, and that's obviously what we went out for tendered for, was B and C. So
So we're talking about B?
Both B and C. So there was 11 and a 9 in the 2 of them, and basically we did some analysis which meant that it was more economical to do the 2 at the same time. So that's why we tendered for that, and that's what we've got the price for.
Sorry, just what's the average price at the moment, Sam?
We seem to be quite happy around the 245 to 250.
Inframex, have they done residential construction for us before, or
not for council? No, but they've
I understand they do a lot of the roading contracts from having discussions with the engineers and the primary.
A lot of our rural roading and all that sort of thing. But
so primarily, there's a lot of infrastructure that's associated with this, which is to do with the roading network, and the other stuff is generally just trenching and service providers through the installation of the services. So I suspect, the tender evaluation panel evaluated it and considered that they conformed with the skills necessary to do the work. So
To be fair, most of the earthworks were done previously. This is pretty much just putting the road in and putting the services along the sides of it. So.
Councillor Park.
Yes, thank you. Usually we have some sort of estimate in here for the works.
From an engineer's estimate?
Yeah.
We currently haven't, but we haven't traditionally done that with property development.
Okay.
So we didn't on this occasion.
Okay, great.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. It's good news that that you're basically paid for that, I presume, once we go unconditional fees. So the rest will be profit. Good luck. So, no other questions or queries?
Well, on the fact, Mr. Chairman, I'm totally against any property developments of the council, but I am going to overlook that and I will support the resolution so it can proceed.
You're not against profit?
I'm against lots of things.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Boddy. All right. Suggested resolution there. Could I have a move? Thank you, Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 9, adoption of the Taupo, thanks guys, adoption of the Taupo District Council annual report, which has been tabled here today. Yep. Beautiful cover. Jeanette and Jane, good afternoon. Right, the floor is yours.
I'll take the item as read. I will point out, you did ask me to make a bit more of a positive sentence under water, which has not appeared to have got through to the laid up version. All the other changes were made, but we've just missed that particular change of sentence. I will ensure that that gets put through. I'll pass over to Jeanette.
Jeanette, tell us all about it.
Word for word.
So the document you have in front of you is really no different to what you saw at the workshop. There have been a couple of changes in the statement of cash flow and the reconciliation of cash, which is just down to classification of expenditure. And there's been a change to note 9 regarding severance, and note 31 regarding severance and the addition of the interim CEO's salary for the last 2 months of the financial year.
Chairman, those severance mentions, what page are they on, please? Or
50.
Page 102.
Sorry, the draft one.
And page 137, I think it is. 137.
Yes, I'll give it a draft.
So I'll answer any questions that you have.
Thanks, Jeanette. Any questions of Jeanette? Well, I'd just like to sort of commend everyone here, and councillors and staff as well, for 100% clean audit report. Squeaky clean there. The debt is $11 million, I think, less than projected in the LTP. The operating budget is $3 million better off. The signed, the financial strategy that we signed up to enabled a 1.1% rate increase, the lowest we've had for a number of years. AA rating, Standard and Poor's rating. I believe there's a customer focus on all our areas, and we're maintaining our quality infrastructure. So it's a very pleasing result. As the mayor, I'm very proud of that result, and the councillors should be very proud as well, and acknowledge the staff here this afternoon for all the hard work. So that's my take on it. Anyway, any other questions or queries of Jeanette?
Sorry.
Councillor Williamson.
Which was just going to endorse your comments. Made actual surplus more than 279,000 more than actual plan, so as well. So congratulations.
It's been good.
Councillor Stewart.
I'm just like to endorse it well. It's been a really good turn. Thank you.
Through the chair, I'd also like to bring to your attention that you also have the summary annual report that's been given to you as well.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Which in colour looks really fantastic.
I realise there's a huge amount of work in this, communications as well, and then, you know, in our messages as well. So thank the communications team as well. All right. Okay. Any other questions or queries?
Councillor Body.
Sorry,
Mr. Chairman, it was to me a little bit disappointing that we had the original draft and then to get the email last night at 20 minutes past 5, which I opened about 20 minutes past 7. I've come here today to try and look at it. I won't be supporting the annual report because there were mistakes in the final copy. Now, we went through this last year where I was told, no, I'm wrong, and I turned out to be right. We had mistakes in the annual not report, the annual plan, and that was an indexing thing. So, and there's things to do with severance, etc., that I'm not happy with at the moment. So, I won't be voting against the plan as before us at the moment.
Okay, that's disappointing, but that's your.
Well, I'll tell you what, Councillor, if there are statements made in regards of usage of the AC baths from the draft that we had, and what I'm now looking at in the final are different, I don't see how I can support it.
Okay. Any other commentary around that?
Can I just clarify why it was so late?
Yeah, you know,
We did not receive audit clearance until about 4:30 yesterday, and so I could not release the document to you, and that is why it was so late. I apologise for that, but that's just the way it
You've
was.
highlighted today what the changes were, which.
I have in the financial area, yes.
Yeah. So, reasonably.
And, yeah, if you can point out, John, which the usage, the swimming pool usage.
I don't
You bother.
think there's going to change anything here. All right, okay. There's this recommended resolution there, number 1 and 2. Do I have a mover, please?
Yep.
Yep, I'll move it.
Moved by Councillor Harvey and seconded by Councillor Stewart.
And thank you for it.
Thank you very much.
All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Okay, so I hear another no.
What a surprise.
Yeah. So could I just call for hands up who's for the annual plan to be resolved?
Oh.
One.
You wonder why.
And those against? Okay. All right, item number 10, Chief Executive Officer's report.
Yeah, just pathetic.
So through Mr. Chairman, excuse me, I won't keep much of your time. Essentially, you've got the report there, and so I'll take most of it as read, just pointing out a few key points out of it. I think probably a really pleasing one is the last paragraph on page 10 around building and resource consents, just showing there the fact that we do meet 100% of our timeframes for both of those consents, and in fact we would be the best in the country at that. I think we're averaging about 8 days for building consents at the moment, which is pretty spectacular, particularly given our significant growth rate, and the team is pretty tapped out there as well. So having particularly come from that area, that's one that I'm fairly proud of the entire team, that they've got it that right. And it's one that we're getting, as I say, visited from other local authorities to see just how we do it. So that's one that I did want to point out to you.
Resource consent at the moment takes on average what?
Building consent takes on average 8 days. Would be the best in the country.
Great.
Really good.
Over the page, I guess another important one there that I'd point out would be under emergency matters or risk on page 10/1 is the Waikato River, Waikato Regional Council's Healthy Rivers project. That council approved that last week. It was a 7-7 split around their council chamber, and the chair lady had to use her casting vote. I think it's fair to say there's a whole lot of water to go down the river before that's completed. They've agreed to an 80-day consultation process, which is extremely long, and I think a reflection of the significance of that piece of work. We've been involved all the way through. I think it's fair to say that from an officer perspective, there's some things there that we need to further consider and bring up to you for your consideration in due course. But really, it's one just to put the flag out that it is going to be a significant thing for the next council to consider and be involved with through the submission process.
Just acknowledge Anne in the back of the room there. I think as a council perspective, it's good news. Those going out for consultation.
Absolutely.
I would have to agree with that.
Absolutely. And then finally, Your Worship, you've obviously stolen a bit of my thunder in terms of the annual report, in terms of the good news, and I guess that's how I just wanted to finish up. This is, as you said at the start of the meeting, it's the last council meeting of this triennium. I'm fairly proud, or very proud of where we've got to as a council, and you've got to over this triennium. We've obviously focused fairly heavily, or very heavily, on our financial strategy over this over the 3 years, but particularly over this year, and the results of that are starting to show for themselves. So really, it's as the last of these reports, it's a thank you, and we'll see those of you that are successful on the polling day back here next time, November. But the team are here to answer any questions on any of the attachments.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Okay, any questions of Mr. Green? Councillor Chalmers.
Thank you, Worship. Just a comment, Gareth, on the Healthy River plan change. When it comes back for consideration, what I think would be worth having a look at is trying to get a sort of an idea of an economic impact assessment on what it's going to do to our economy with these changes, because I know there's been some modelling done, but I think it would be good for us to understand what that impact actually is for us in this particular area. Is that...
We can do the best. Yeah, the best
I know.
yeah.
It won't be an exact science,
That's
but
right.
I think we should go through the exercise of having a look at it, if we could.
Yep.
Just a couple of other quick questions. Can you explain what a formal first schedule process is? How does
So that's
that wording before?
So that's first schedule of the Resource Management Act. So that's the consultation process.
Oh, okay.
So submissions, further submissions, hearings.
And just a question on resource consents. The 8 days is great news. I just would like to know what percentage of applications do we stop the clock on?
Let's see if there's anyone in the room that would know the numbers. I can definitely get that for you.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
It's not high. It's definitely it used to be around the sort of 20 to 30%, Ellen, but I can get those figures for you.
That would be cool to hear. And just the last one from me, just a matter of interest. The incident in Turangi with the wastewater. What was the cause?
So that was about significant inflows which were coming into the plant, and those inflows, John, that was due to a fault, was it not?
It was illegal. It was a connection which probably shouldn't have been there, which we've rectified.
So a discharge.
Yeah.
Being known.
So it's been sorted.
It's been sorted, won't happen again. Thank you, that was all for the moment.
Someone left the tap on.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Green, and thank you for your kind words, and well done on your first 2 or 3 months into your tenure. No other questions or queries on the CEO's report? I have a mover, please. That'll be received. Thank you, Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Item number 11. Changes the Lake Taupo Protection Project. Mr. Nick Carroll. Good afternoon, Nick.
Hopefully you'll be aware that the Lake Taupo Project Joint Committee's been doing some work reviewing the project. They commissioned a couple of consultants to prepare a report and a set of recommendations. That report was officially presented to the committee last Thursday, the 22nd of September, so just behind the last quarter. The committee's received that report, but there's a lot sitting in it in terms of some weighty recommendations and further work that's required. So what they've decided is to leave that report sitting on the table and to consider it further post the training and elections. One of the very important recommendations sitting in that report was around Tūwharakau's membership of the committee. You'll remember on the joint committee we've got the regional council, ourselves, the Crown, and Taupo. The two councils and the Crown are funding partners, and they appoint representatives to that joint committee. Taupo were not a funding partner when the project was set up, and at that point in time it was decided that they would nominate representatives who would then be appointed to the committee by the other members. The review process has highlighted that actually it's timely that that arrangement be reconsidered, particularly given that Taupo are an equal partner in this process going forward. As a result, one of the recommendations is that their nominating power be changed to an appointing power, the same as the other three members of the joint committee. So that was put forward to the joint committee for consideration. The Crown raised a few concerns around the timing of that process. You'll be well aware that Taupo is going through a settlement process with the Crown, and there are all sorts of discussions happening in the background, most of which we're not privy to. The Crown suggested that they wish to do some further work on their side of the fence, considering the best timing of this change to the project agreement in the terms of reference around the appointment of Taupo reps. So as a result, what has been recommended by the Joint Committee are a couple of tweaks to the resolutions you have on your agenda. The recommended resolution 1 starts with agrees to vary. What has now been proposed is that wording changes to agrees in principle to vary. So it's just a subtle change, but what that picks up is the Crown's position that they wish to have some further discussion before we enter these changes. In terms of resolution 2, it starts with agrees that and then carries through to following the 2016 local body elections. Again, we need to remove the words prior to reconstituting the Lake Taupo Protection Project Joint Committee. So it will then read, agrees that following the 2016 local body. The reason that second change is being made is it takes some of the time pressure off, I guess, in terms of allowing those discussions to take place. What we'll be able to do is re-establish the Joint Committee relatively quickly following the election, and it can keep doing its business while those discussions around membership with Taupo. It's really important that that committee is re-established and continues its business reasonably fast, because it essentially oversees the governance of the Lake Taupo Protection Trust, which is an ongoing entity that continues to have that governance over. So, the Joint Committee made two recommendations, and it's essentially around Taupo membership and agreeing about the Crown.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions or queries of Nick?
David?
Councillor Stewart, sorry.
I'd just like, John Williamson and I sit on that committee, we were privy to be there, and there was a large discussion, a big discussion about where the Crown was coming from, and Taupo were part of that discussion to make sure that Taupo were happy with this resolution. Yes, it was needed to make sure that all parties were happy. The Crown's, what they were saying seemed to come out of left field a little bit, and we were all quite taken back. But Taupo were happy with the way forward at the moment. The other thing I want to really stress is the importance of this committee, and that after the elections it is timely, because without this committee in place, the work that the other committee do round the lake, the actual physical work that happens, cannot continue, and it can't fall over. So I must stress the importance of this committee getting set up correctly after the elections. Is that about right, Nick? I think that's really, really does have to happen. John?
Thank you, Councillor
Just
Stewart.
through the-
Thank you.
Yeah, just-
Councillor Williamson?
just through the chair, just obviously endorse his comments to Maggie. Obviously, we have Anne McLeod from the Waikato Regional Council room. Would it be inappropriate for you to make any comments? Would you like to?
Hi, Anne. Has Nick missed anything out here? Tell us what he's done wrong.
If you did want to ask questions, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might actually have.
Thanks, Anne. Yep, thanks very much. All right. Okay, Councillor Johns?
Thank you. Nick, just through the chair, thank you. In principle, so what does that actually mean? Does that mean that the committee will reconstitute itself as per this resolution, or are we just signalling to the Crown that we support the change?
We're by putting in the words in principle, we're signalling that all the parties to the joint committee agree that it is a good idea that we change the way that Te Whāotaua is appointed to the committee. By putting in the term in principle, it's giving the Crown the time and the space to have those discussions that they feel they need to have with internal legal advice and with the Office of Treaty Settlements to get to a point where they are happy. The change to the second resolution gives us the time and the space to do that. It allows us to reconstitute the committee post the election.
The comment that I would make is I wonder if we should wait. I mean, I appreciate what current councillors are saying, but we'll need to get our new elected officials in. We can run everything quite quickly after the elections ourselves, because we've still got to nominate our elected officials as well. So I'm a little bit struggling to understand why the rush when there's other things happening as well that we're not all completely privy to, but it just feels a little bit like cart before horse.
What this resolution signals from both WRC and ourselves is a message to the Crown, along with Te Whāotaua, that we expect Te Whāotaua to be recognised as an equal partner as part of this joint committee. That provides the impetus for the Crown to have those internal conversations they need to have.
All right, but
if we don't, then the Crown may not have those internal
Signals.
discussions.
Okay, all right. That helps understand the
Through
situation. Thank you.
the chair, my understanding, obviously, Councillor John's point regarding appointments to TDC and Regional Council will be done as soon as November.
I believe maybe the end of October.
End of October, we were asking for, yes. And staff with their staff have got the timelines that they know that we need to follow, and they'll make sure that they're on the agendas. And I'd like to move the suggested resolution, thank you.
Okay, it's amended.
Amended
as per-
resolution,
Yep.
yes.
I'll second that.
Any of those amendments? Yep, good as gold. So it's been moved by Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you. Right, item number 12, Taupo Child and Youth Friendly District. Helmut. Good afternoon, Helmut.
His Worship, Councillors.
Is got Dr. Coulter there, Dr. Belinda Coulter. Nice to see you, Belinda. And Tony, Senior Sergeant Tony Jurison. You want to come through, Tony? Right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, His Worship and Councillors. So just a bit of background, this is a follow-up from our workshop on the 18th of July, Child and Youth Friendly District Workshop, and also a submission to the annual plan by Inamata Cafe to progress Child and Youth Friendly District. Further, I'll take it as read if you have any questions from myself or some of our partners.
So it's going to the next stage, is it? Is it
Yes.
saying here? Yeah. Okay. Do we have any questions about that or any queries? Councillor Johns?
Just a question, Helmuth. The option that you're recommending is that we take the community-led approach rather than the UNICEF approach?
UNICEF hasn't quite sorted their process out in New Zealand. Overseas, they generally have a partnership arrangement with central government or state governments, and our setup in New Zealand is slightly different with TLEs and regional councils.
Our preferences for that first option, yeah.
Preferences, and potentially down the track when they have got it sorted to go down their accreditation process.
Thank you.
So there's no UNICEF accredited sites yet because they haven't got the...
Not in New Zealand. Whangarei's been going through it for the last 2.5 years, but UNICEF are still looking at what their support looks like in New Zealand and who they
Once we
partner
set
up with.
this up, that will put us in line to be able to be accredited.
Yeah, so after this will be to set up that governance committee at a high level with Lakes DHB, Police, Council and Ministry for Vulnerable Children, and from there to do a State of the Child and Youth report for our district, which gives us sort of a baseline to where we need to go.
Just originally, I think Tony suggested there could be a cross-pollination with the safe community, or did you have an issue with that still? Or we weren't duplicating things?
No.
The safer,
Safe district.
What's it called?
Safe district.
Safe district. So you're happy now? You're happy that it
We're always happy with
dovetails into that? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So as part of our Safe Communities accreditation, one of that is to implement programs and projects which address vulnerable groups, and children and youth have been identified as vulnerable. So it's around setting up a specific 0 to 18 framework around children and youth.
Cool. Okay, acknowledge Dr. Coulter here today. I don't know, Belinda, did you want to say anything? It's just
really
great it's coming to
grateful
fruition.
for the enthusiasm that Taupo Council has shown for this. It's wonderful.
Good. Thank you very much. All right, any other questions? Moved by Councillor John, seconded by Councillor Williamson. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out today. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Right, item number 13 is continuation of committees into 2016-19 triennium. Tina.
I really just want to take the item as read. As you know, all committees are discharged at the end of the triennium, but there are two committees that we think should be not discharged and carry on, and that's the district licensing committees, as there might be some hearings during that time, so we want that committee to be able to function, and the Turangi Reserve Management Plan Committee, which, as you appreciate, is an ongoing committee to develop the plan. Of course, the appointments from a council perspective potentially will change once the elections have been completed. And we'll make those appointments.
Thanks, Tina. So business as usual for these two committees, yep. Thank you very much. Any questions or queries, Tina? Recommended resolution? Sorry, Roseanne?
Sorry, Richard, were there any other committees that, I mean, you've put these two down, but are there any others that you would urge us to have a look at as well? Or is this?
I mean, they're the only ones that I think we need to
carry on
to continue. The other ones will be will still be brought to council at the beginning of the triennium to look at what that structure might be.
Because Councillor Park and I discussed the airport with Mr Menhenant the other week, but I guess that's a BAU management over that period.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. No, thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
All right. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Friedman. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Item number 14, members' reports. Anyone's got
I'm being naughty, I didn't write my report. my act of rebellion on the last day.
No verbal reports, okay.
Chairman, just one in regards of excess. Taupo, you remember we allocated 20 or 25,000, that's the result, it's the report. We had a meeting last week. The committee will probably want to make a presentation to the next council in regards of the next steps forward. The serious areas in this report, the estimated taking the risk away is 175,000. It's probably unbudgeted money at the moment. So just to give you a heads up that they will be coming to, because what we don't want is to spend all that money and this then gets buried.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Boddy. Everyone's put your reports up to us, to Shani. Resolution there, moved by Councillor Hickling, seconded by Councillor Stewart. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Okay, right. Resolution through the public. Thank you, Matt. Could I have we move it into, oh, okay.
Oh, you're still doing moving and then.
Move into confidence, please.
Couple of minutes for the.
Moved by councillor Truman, seconded by councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Right, we'll just have a minute.
I think you said